here at a very fancy studio near Amsterdam, and I'm here to see the Zeekr 7 GT, which is very exciting. It's a very fancy new car. What's particularly exciting about it is that it should be coming to the UK, so can't wait to drive that. But this is just going to be a walk around in a studio, and it's going to be very rushed. But I've got some time, and I'm with my good friend Felix, who is Dutch, and he goes all around the world, including to China, to see Zeekr. And so we're going to have a little chat while we kill some time. And we'll talk about EVs and charging and Europe and China and everything we've been talking about on the way over here. We're just going to repeat it now.
This video is sponsored by eVision Electric Vehicles, the UK's first and largest all-electric vehicle hire company. Should have driven this to Amsterdam, actually, shouldn't I?
Zeekr, then. Do you know how long they've been in Holland? Or
in Holland, yeah. I'm wondering, because the store in Amsterdam, which is close to where I live, opened way over a year ago. And I'm pretty sure the brand was already active before that. There are several Chinese brands active in the Netherlands, at least. And all of them have been around for years now, sort of. But none of them have been really banging anything, especially because of, just mainly being an online presence. And even though both NIO and Zeekr now have these huge stores, it's the best real estate in Amsterdam. But the thing is that if you live nearby that store, most people don't have a car nearby those stores. So they do get a lot of eyeballs there, like clearly people walk around and see them, but but the thing is that these brands are still, as I told you in the car, like they're just not in the mind space when people are looking for a new car. Clearly you have the people who are watching actively on YouTube or stuff like this, and they will find out, but if we would go a bit out of the bigger cities, people just have no idea this is out there, even though for years now they are available.
Yeah. So in terms of Chinese electric cars, putting Polestar aside, because I suppose it's a little bit Swedish really, BYD is the biggest, is that right?
I mean, biggest, yes. And there you can also see they took a way more traditional approach. So in the Netherlands, BYD partnered with a company called Lauman. It's huge in luxury. They're all over the country. So you can, if you live far away from Amsterdam, which many Dutch people do, then you can just buy a BYD around the corner because they're in your local garage where you used to buy your Mercedes. And that matters, and it's helping because I see them everywhere. But also, you can really notice that BYDs and Xpengs they are around. Okay. And then Zeekr comes after. You can also see them, but both BYD and Xpeng are bigger road presence if you're just on the highway or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like utopia really coming over here, because if you go to Amsterdam, firstly, there are chargers everywhere. And even years and years ago, when I first got my eNiro, I had the New Motion app. So that was what I used to do roaming really. And New Motion, I think, is Dutch. Is that right?
True. Starts
off, I think, in Amsterdam. Chargers everywhere, and you keep zooming out and there's just all these chargers. And now, of course, you've got all these brands that we don't see in the UK. We will start to see them, hopefully. Xpeng G6, I think, has arrived now.
Yeah.
Obviously, BYD has got a big presence in the UK. But NIO, we haven't got NIO yet. And now Zeekr.
Yeah, those brands are really missing out. I think the opportunities in the UK are huge because I feel like people are open to new things in a way, and I also think that the UK has this crazy advantage where for so many people home charging can be easy to do, to install, that has a huge impact on EV adoption itself, because if you can home charge, they always make sense.
How much is public charging here? On the street?
It depends, but the good ones are 35 cents per kilowatt hour. And nowadays, in the old days, there was only one operator for Amsterdam. But nowadays, Total Energies is now installing a lot of chargers. But so it goes a bit between 35 and let's say 45 cents per kilowatt hour. But it can really be two chargers that are pretty much next to each other can have that big a price difference, and obviously they're not delivering a different thing,
Yes.
or service or quality.
I was actually in Hong Kong this year, and coming from China mainland, which is a train ride 14 minutes, goes straight through the mountains, crazy. But you can really see this huge difference if you're in Shenzhen, which is 14 minutes away from Hong Kong. The amount of brands you cannot count, and everything is Chinese, etc., etc. And then you go to Hong Kong, and first of all, less Chinese cars, but also, a lot of brands have hardly the presence or none, or you can see them with the double license plates and stuff like this. But you really notice that in Hong Kong you're in this completely different place, even though it's sort of a metro ride from Shenzhen. And the brand presence is completely different, and you can really see that. I think Zeekr in Hong Kong is sort of just as old as they are in the Netherlands. Like they maybe are around for 2 years, but over there they're quite successful with their vans, because Hong Kong is really about van. Like there's taxi vans everywhere. MPVs is the normal car in the street. So it's amazing to see.
I did hear that there's a bit of a resurgence with MPVs at the moment.
In China, yes.
And you've got the Li Mega, is that what it is? Incredibly fast charging, very slick looking MPV.
So we're in the Zeekr store at the moment, and when we were talking to Zeekr yesterday, all the top product people and everything, they were very cagey about whether they're coming to the UK. They really didn't want to commit. So they said, well, it makes sense, and it's one of their top markets that they're going to target, but they didn't really want to commit to it. End of next year, maybe. But we just overheard someone in the Zeekr store saying, oh yeah, we're coming, probably, was it May? Did you say May? Yeah, we're coming to the UK. Okay, there it is.
Bombshell news.
Anyway, so this is a Zeekr store, and it's very fancy. This is the 001 Sport Edition in this beautiful Dutch orange. And then you've got the 7X, and that's what Felix and I arrived in yesterday. This is what you drove when you did your charging test.
True.
What charging speed did this get?
I reached a peak of 414.
That's just so fluid, isn't it?
Yeah.
God, yeah, when you compare that to any of the legacy brands.
We're in a smart EV that just has an easy way to go into the car wash, an easy way to have your pet here, an easy way to camp overnight if you feel like maybe you have kids and they want to sleep in the car one night.
Yeah.
You press one button, it's happening for them. And you buy a Porsche Macan that costs twice this car, and that button doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Why not?
And even if you do have options like this, they're hidden.
Yeah, they're
menus.
definitely hidden.
Yeah.
But most of these European cars can still not manage, and that's also because they lack the flexibility of this. If this car came without it, they could add it because their software is flexible.
Yeah.
And that is, I think, something completely overlooked.
Definitely. I mean, pet mode is something that Tesla have had for ages and ages.
Yeah.
And Kia have only just added it to the EV5.
Nice,
I was so
nice.
excited when I saw it.
That's cool.
But it shouldn't take so long, should it?
It shouldn't. But that's good that they did. So it
it's
shows you that Korea might be speedier than Europe. There's some kind of zero gravity mode, I think.
Zero gravity mode?
I think so, because if we press start
Moving
rest.
seat. Pay attention to the safety of rear passengers.
It's very Chinese. But I don't know if this has all the bells and whistles with massage and stuff.
I mean, to be fair, the Hyundais and Kias have the sort of relaxation seats like that now as well, don't they? Yeah. Do we call it the 001 or just one? I'm not sure what we're supposed to call it.
Yeah, that's also the weird thing, because the 7 GT is a 007 in China.
Yes, that's
but yeah, over here, that's a bit complicated, I think.
Do you know how much this is?
Oof, I think most of them are between 50 and 60, but I think you can, if you buy the fastest one, then maybe 70.
Okay.
But then the performance on that fast one is just absurd. But yeah, I don't know how many people do it.
So once you get to that sort of price, do you buy that or a Porsche? Although even the Porsche is more expensive than that, isn't it?
That's the thing, like if you compare new prices, yeah, pretty much semi-entry level BMWs are there.
Yeah.
So yeah, for that amount of money, you get a lot. Like the performance for the amount of money is impressive.
In here, then, yeah, as you can see that you've got the little screen at the back, and even here, then you've got what you can see there, you've got music and settings and changing the seat there. Although, I mean, that's great, but yeah, the Tesla one is definitely better. With the Model 3 and Model Y, you can actually play games in the back.
That's impressive.
Which is great for kids.
Yeah.
You'd never get them out of the car. They'd want charging stops to be even longer, probably.
Look at all these cameras. It's just so many. And then over there and over here, you know, it's just the amount of cameras.
And here's a quite nice little Diddy car, actually. So this is a Zeekr X, and in terms of size then, do you think this is sort of EX30
This
size?
is EX30 territory, yes.
Yeah. Is it actually the same platform it's built on?
I'm not 100% sure, but I do think so.
Yeah. So in the back, I mean, you can see, it's very cool little, look at that little detail there with all those LEDs. It's very cool. Not a massive amount of legroom in the back. It is a pretty small car, but I would say, I mean, it seems even smaller than my Nero in terms of internal space. But it's a very cool looking car. I do really like these recessed handles, actually.
Yeah, it's super cool.
And I prefer that to the normal flush handles where you're never really quite sure whether to
Absolutely.
push it.
Yeah, a hole is much better.
Yeah. I never know where that'd be it, won't it?
Yes.
There we go. It's pretty dark, so you can't see that well, but not a bad boot, I suppose. Yeah, you can see it goes under quite a bit there. Do these sell well? Do you know?
No. I have this other neighbor that drives this, and he is the one neighbor I know. If I see an X in Amsterdam, I faint. No, they don't. It's really sold as a luxury car. This competes with a Nero.
Right.
But yeah, I think that offers more space, but most of all, just simply more dealerships in the Netherlands. So it's not actually competing because people don't know this.
Interesting, this doesn't have physical buttons. Oh no, it does have some buttons down there actually, but they look like they're kind of weird, touchy ones.
It's a very minimalist look. Yeah.
It's quite a cool, mean-looking thing.
Yeah, it has an oddness that I like.
Yeah. Yeah, it's odd in good ways. This bit going up there reminds me of the DS3 Crossback E-Tense.
Of course.
That looks very similar to that. Yeah. And I kind of ripped that apart actually in my review a long time ago because I thought, what's the point? It looks cool from the outside, but then of course it just
of course on the inside
a little
it's
bit.
terrible. Yeah.
The form over function a little bit. But anyway, no, it seems good, really.
I just have to share a random Chinese car photo or whatever, and you will instantly be like, yeah, watch that stuff in 5 years and stuff. And they give some of the biggest warranties on cars that exist in the world.
So that's the Zeekr showroom in the centre of Amsterdam. That's very cool. I love the orange 001. I just love orange cars. I used to have an orange Fiat Punto, so I've got an affinity with orange anyway. But yeah, really cool. It's just lovely seeing the kind of the tech that you get for a decent price in these Chinese cars. And obviously other Chinese brands here. You've got NIO. Does NIO have a showroom?
Nearby.
We were talking in the car about Tesla because obviously Tesla, you could argue that they kick-started the whole EV revolution. Obviously you had Nissan with the Leaf, which was fantastic. Renault Zoe was great, but let's be honest, Tesla's made it sexy, didn't they? But when you look at these Chinese cars and how fast they charge, for instance, and just how much you get for relatively low money, where does Tesla fit into that? And this is what we were discussing in the car. How can they compete?
Yeah, I mean, they compete still, I think, on simplicity. And you can really see that the fact is that they made EVs cool, especially in a place like China where EVs weren't regarded as cool before Tesla kickstarted the whole thing. So, where maybe in 2020 somebody got their first Tesla in China because they were a geek and because they wanted the cool thing. But yeah, if we fast forward 5 years, we're here today, and yeah, the choice you have in China is simply, maybe you have a big family, and then if you want to have a lot of space, all these MPVs make a lot of sense. And however way you put it, Tesla doesn't make an MPV. Maybe never will. I don't know. That doesn't matter. But in China, if you want an MPV, there's 20 brands lining up for you, literally, where you can go MPV shopping. And then within those MPVs, you can look at what kind of seats, how many seats, what kind of propulsion. Do you want battery and an engine, or just one of them? Depending on where you live, might not be so smart to take the engine choice. So, and then from the tech perspective, and batteries, there's all these brands that are offering things that Tesla simply isn't. So let's say that you do drive to the countryside to visit your family, and they live a million miles away. This is all possible. I would take the train, but let's say you're not a train guy. There's all these brands offering you options that Tesla will probably, clearly, I fully agree with Tesla's choice to go full EV. But I went to the Chinese countryside myself, and then even though there are chargers everywhere, they're not all as fast. So if you want your road trip to be fast, you can be excused for going like plug-in with a huge battery and tiny gas tank, and it just gets you to your family faster, and you still drive EV 340 days of the year, to all the luxury that you can think of. And that is also this thing, like if you want ultimate luxury in China, there's tons of brands that offer a huge screen in the front and in the back. And some of them are mobile, and you get remote controls in the back, and etc. This is all almost normal, and none of it is offered by Tesla. So if you want massage seats, they're normal in China, not in a Tesla. I don't understand it, but it's still true.
Yeah. So Tesla still has obviously a lot of brand awareness and a lot of love for the brand in China. I guess Elon Musk doesn't affect them, particularly his politics probably don't affect them so much.
I think it's also about the Chinese self-made. I think in many ways, America and China are very alike. And just like in America, Elon will have tons of fans because he's this self-made man, or at least that's the image, like a Trump, that they sell. This is also what they love, what many will love in China. And that image is still true today because this guy is so crazy rich and in many ways very successful. So that gives them a lot of, probably a lot of fans.
The nicest Chinese software I've ever seen.
Really?
And that is because it was designed in Europe again.
41 kilowatt hour battery. That is quite expensive though, isn't it? For a small car?
The thing is that in China, the exact same car costs half.
Right.
And that is a bit, hits you.
Yeah, so they're bringing this to the UK.
Here, there's a huge tax on it because of EU. In Norway, this car is much cheaper. In the UK, it could definitely be quite a bit cheaper than that.
That's interesting.
You know, 25k pounds?
Okay.
Sounds feasible to me. Like, cannot prove it, of course.
Okay. So that would make it sort of Renault 5 territory, I suppose?
And here it actually competes with Renault 5 completely in price, because if you want a nice Renault 5, it becomes more expensive than that, and that price is, I think you have all the options.
Right, okay. But lovely, really interesting interior, actually.
Yeah. It's
I love
super
what they've done with the
interesting
design. All these sort of circular motifs, even on the handle there, on the door handle. Lots of curves. It's got a nice feel to it.
Yes.
Very high. I mean, maybe this has been raised up, but it's got very high driving position.
Yes.
So you've got a lovely commanding view of the road, despite it being a small car.
The fluidity and the coolness of that, they really tried to make it interesting.
Yeah.
But it's actually functional.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, lovely. It's a really lovely graphics.
cool.
It's cool. The only thing with this is that it's flickering like crazy on this, which means that the refresh rate is terrible. You can always tell the cheaper brands because they flicker like mad when you film them. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I love that. So this is the Firefly brand, is it? I mean, is it like a sub-brand of NIO? Is that the idea?
yeah, they don't sell it as a sub-brand, but clearly it is. Like, we're in the NIO store.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. But yeah, pretty nice.
But in the Netherlands, you buy a Firefly because your car has to have a model name, but it has to have a brand name. So it's a Firefly.
Well, that's interesting because that's a really good amount of space in the back.
Yes.
That's brilliant. So, my question is, why do you only get this kind of cool stuff on small cars?
Exactly.
Because the Hyundai Insta is similarly clever. Not as cool as that, but it does have a nice way of putting all the seats down.
It's a smart
flat.
vehicle, yes.
Yeah. So I don't understand why you get all this clever packaging in small cars, and yet big cars can be a complete waste of space.
I have never understood this.
And an impressive amount of legroom in the back. I mean, your feet still
Yeah,
don't go-
legroom is amazing.
Yeah, your feet still don't go completely under the seats in front, but it's not bad. It's arguably better than the Zeekr X.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Which is funny because it's small.
Yeah. So you've got 18-inch wheels, and then you've got very cool design. Is that what you put? Yeah, push it down. Okay. And decent boot.
Yeah.
Decent boot, yeah. I mean, quite a lip.
Surprising.
Quite a lip. It's about as low as it can go, but yeah, that's a decent little car, though.
Ta-da.
A massive.
Swimming pool.
It's a massive swimming pool. Is it supposed to be a swimming pool? Is that?
I think they do want to demo that it can be a cooling box because there's this flap on the side, so it wants to show that you can fill it with water and cool packages and
They probably wouldn't
put
be
all
happy.
your fish in there that you just caught at the riverside.
They wouldn't be happy if you undid that little bung and leaked all over the showroom floor.
In this exact spot, I wonder how they actually plan to undo the water.
Well, at least it's on carpet. Maybe that's better. It's also, I mean, it's a lovely colour. They call this as lavender. Very classy. 14 speakers, Dolby Atmos.
Yeah, sound is impressive as well.
Yeah, nice. It doesn't say how fast it charges unless I'm going mad.
I think I hit 80-something kilowatts.
Okay.
Definitely not mind-bending, but the consumption was very fair, so that was acceptable.
Yeah, well, that's great. I love seeing small cars, the funky small EVs. I mean,
Totally.
bring them on.
We
That's
need
great.
way more of them.
We do, yeah.
The Zeekr 7 GT we're about to see has a peak rate charge of 480 kilowatts, which is astonishing. So the base one, and the LFP battery, the base one, charges in 13 minutes to 80%, which is actually less than they originally said in the press release. Originally they announced it at 10.5 minutes. But this is astonishing. Anyway, we don't have the charging infrastructure, certainly in the UK we don't have the charging infrastructure to support that. You've got NIO chargers, haven't you, which you've used.
True.
So there's a really good video that Felix did. What were you driving then? It was a Zeekr.
It was
wasn't
a 7X.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun, but this is the crazy thing where you can notice that even when you drive these EVs in China, you will be able to go out of reach from the fastest charger. Like I literally went up into the mountains, and then you come into this zone where the charging that these cars can do is absolutely not normal around the road yet. So that is this crazy stage where you can see that the EVs will always be connected to their infrastructure, and you can see that even in a place like China, so many chargers are older than some of these cars that it will take some time. Like now there's this whole new program I told you about that China wants to be ready for 80 million EVs by 2027 and wants to have the infrastructure to be able to service that, and those chargers, all the ones that will be built next year, they will be able to handle these new cars. But the crazy thing is that and this is why most of these companies that we now see coming over here in China, most of them, companies like XPeng or Zeekr, they run, like Tesla, their own charging network. And that way they can be in control of offering these crazy charging rates. Yeah. And even brands that haven't made the jump over here have their own network over there. And we haven't even gotten into swapping, which is, there's an actual marketplace where you can go swapping at different brands over there. And nobody in Europe believes in swapping. And of course, we have a very different scale of mobility. We have less mega cities in the way that they do. So I don't know if Shanghai has 200 swap stations owned by NIO. Wow. Not even getting into the Cuttle stuff, and there are several brands doing it. So all of these numbers are just so ballistic. But about the charging, clearly it's this interplay of the fast charge. Like at some point, like if we get to the 10-minute charge, we're getting to this point that there are now several brands who are getting very close to offering 10-minute 80% top-ups. And when you drive an EV, you know that this is kind of faster than you need, because clearly most of the times when you do a stop, if somebody in your party wants more than a toilet break, this 10 minutes won't cut it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I think it's still, for EVs to become more popular and more mainstream, it's super important that you can just sell 5-minute charging. And sometimes you maybe don't need to go to the toilet, you still need a charge. It's super cool if you can do that in 5 minutes and just get up. But if you drive an EV for long enough, you simply don't believe that charging can be 5 minutes. But in China, this will happen sooner rather than later.
Yeah. But it gets people through the door, doesn't it? Like to be able to say that your car charges almost as fast as filling up petrol. That gets a lot of the doubters thinking, okay, maybe I could get an EV. But you're absolutely right. On the trips that we do down to Italy, go to Burger King or whatever, I haven't even got my burger yet in the time that the car is charged. Just in the space of the time it took to choose the food that we wanted to get and to queue for it, the car is charged to 100%. In the Ioniq 5, which was 18 minutes to 80%, it was too fast. Even in the Volkswagen ID7, which was about half an hour to 80%, whatever, too fast. So do I want a 10-minute charging EV? Because I'm going to have to wait with the car.
Yes, and I think that this is also where in China we are at this very different stage where in cities, and clearly they're a different size than we are used to, fast charging is very normal. And if I look at Amsterdam, where there's AC charging everywhere, we would actually have to look for, if we're in the city, fast chargers are very hard to come by.
Yeah.
Clearly most people don't need them because it's so easy to find a slow charger. But here's where things get interesting. If you sort of accept that you cannot build a slow charger for every car, which sort of, when you look at it from this perspective of all the cars in the world, if they would all have their own charger, feels also a bit weird. So the idea that you service a big fleet with a smaller amount of fast charger, I think that makes sense. And then if you see then the pricing that they can get to in a place like China, where fast charging is way cheaper than slow charging is over here, that also makes you realize, I found many slow chargers in China to be more expensive, really as a sort of a luxury, it felt like, compared to the fast chargers that were everywhere and were very cheap.
Well, that's because I suppose the dwell time is so much longer that they're not getting the investment back fast enough. Could that be
Maybe.
it? I mean, if the more kilowatt hours, that you're selling to someone, obviously the more money you're making in a shorter period of time. So maybe there is an incentive to get that faster and faster to increase the turnover. I'm assuming. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's interesting.
Yeah, and I think that this is also where Europe maybe has a problem, in the sense that, if fast charging isn't abundant and isn't priced right, then I do wonder, like, how can you ever get EVs to people where the charger is not outside their house? Because on the one hand, we have all these people that can go EV because they can charge at home, but then the reality in the world, especially looking further than Europe, is that I always like to say most people will never charge at home. And if you accept that as the reality for some year in the future, then fast charging has to be amazing, well priced, super easy. And I feel that that's kind of only true in China right now.
Yeah.
Will it ever be anywhere else? I hope. But
I mean, can we even do it in Europe? That's the thing. I mean, in China they have this mentality where they'll just build whatever they need to build, and they probably did. Have you heard the term NIMBY? A NIMBY, yeah.
of course.
Not in my backyard. So that's a lot of English people are NIMBYs. Lots of people say we don't want solar farms near us. We don't want battery storage near us. Which really holds us back. Now in China, I wonder whether they've got that mentality or whether they just build it. Be damned. It doesn't matter if you care about it. Because this car charging at 480 kilowatts is like 150 houses. That's the demand of 150 houses at just that peak rate of charging, which is an astonishing amount of power. And could we ever support that amount of power without building an awful lot of nuclear power stations, which take ages to build? Or a lot of battery storage? I mean, I just don't think we've got it in us to do that.
I like to believe that we do, but also because, clearly the peak rate is one thing, and for 10 minutes, maybe 5 minutes of those it can actually hit such a peak, maybe even less. And then if these peaks one day just get handled by batteries, which they will, then I think suddenly way more things are possible. Because in essence, like a lot of in Europe, many chargers are not that cheap because, for example, they have this huge grid connection that make it possible for 10 trucks to come in and charge like crazy. But if half of those trucks charge on a battery that only has this tiny grid connection to just fill that battery, that will change everything. But this is again where it's a bit painful to just realize that, where are the batteries of the world made? Clearly not here. And in essence, it will be, can we change that? Can we get better grip on our needs? Because in the Netherlands, you can just see that if we go back 20 years in time to today, electricity users in the Netherlands, pretty much a flat line.
Right.
If you zoom out. And
because of LED light bulbs?
Exactly. So because clearly we are now using more electricity in the sense that we have more devices connected, but pretty much all of these devices became more efficient over time.
Yeah.
So actually electricity usage hardly went up. And in several parts of the world this is true, and then you look at the Chinese line and it's just flying. And they can do that because they build. So they build ultra high voltage lines connecting the desert to mega cities. They build the batteries themselves, and if we are only buying, then that we will always be slow.
ET5, right? Okay.
Yeah, this is their smallest one.
Okay, it's got a lovely shape to it. Actually, it's a very
It looks so good.
quite unfussy design, doesn't it? All these sensors
Unfussy,
at the top.
yeah.
I know. I said unfussy, and then I looked up, and it is strange. It does look like a taxi. Okay, well that's interesting. So you can rent the battery, or you can purchase the battery.
Yep. Yeah, that adds significant cost, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, when you have to rent to be able to swap. And that is when it hit me that I was like, that is a bit of you know, whatever way you choose, buying the battery, you cannot swap, but it's yours for that amount of money, and or paying monthly. Yeah, imagine owning the car 10 years.
Yeah.
Oof. And if you swap once a month, that's a hell of an expensive package.
How do you feel about those swap stations then?
I mean, these swap stations are amazing. I spoke to this owner who came to swap, and yeah, he told me first of all, like he just didn't want to be bothered by charging. So very European attitude, I would say, or maybe even American, and that is why he got a NIO. So this very friendly NIO owner told me several things that I absolutely love. Let's start with the best. This guy was very fond of driving his BMW in an earlier life, and only last year did he switch to his first EV. And this is Shenzhen. I consider this perhaps the EV capital of the world. And this businessman just started driving electric last year. And what made it happen is the swap, because he doesn't have to wait for charging. It just takes people away from fossil vehicles. These new stations, they do the swap in 3 minutes.
That's amazing.
And you know, they're still parking, so it's like a 5-minute moment, but the actual swap is 3 minutes. And now CATL, who is sort of a competitor to NIO now, they offer swap stations that I've only seen videos of, but yeah, they show swaps under 2 minutes. So you're like, okay, what are we missing?
That's amazing. That's almost like a pit stop or something, isn't it? I mean, that's astonishing.
Yeah. And in a place like Shenzhen, one more thing I'd like to add is that I spoke to the guy. He told me they have 60 stations around the city. Fair enough, Shenzhen is like the Netherlands if you look at inhabitants. But NIO has 60 swap stations for Europe.
Right.
But also in Shenzhen. So it just shows you, like, yeah, in that kind of, in those numbers, and when all these people live so close to each other, it's a real alternative. And here, as soon as you have to drive to a swap station, you know, even if there are 10 in the Netherlands, it's never going to be around the corner.
I think this looks a bit cooler than the Zeekr, actually. I think it looks a bit softer and...
Interior on NIOs is really cool.
Yeah, it just has quite a classy look about it.
Yeah, and they did so many upgrades already to the software and stuff.
Oh, yeah?
It's impressive, yeah.
Clearly it's got decent legroom. Look at the detail on this plastic. It's really cool, pretty interesting, yeah. And so over here then you got clearly this is a big old SUV.
Probably EL, yeah.
EL6.
Yeah, I think this has a different name in China. But here they got in a fight with Audi, so they changed it. Because both of these, I think, are S's in China, and here they're L's, because the S is an Audi thing.
Yeah.
But imagine that this is their compact SUV. Compact? I mean, who are you kidding?
That's not compact.
No.
It looks very premium inside. NIO have really done a great job by the looks of it on their interface. You can just tell this. It's classy. And there, it's a big hulking SUV, so you do have the benefit of being able to put your feet under the seat in front. And a very classy screen there at the back. Although still no games, of course.
True. Very little options, very tiny.
But you know, it's good to have it.
Definitely.
And just the one USB-C down there seems a bit stingy for a car like this, but
yeah, one is too little. Yeah.
But you know, big panoramic roof. It looks like that.
I think it opens. Yeah.
But yeah, nice. You do have these massive seats here. For anyone that has car sickness, you can't see through. And the EL8, which is, I mean, this is massive, isn't it? I'm going to assume that this is a 7-seat. Is it something? A 6 or 7-seat or not?
This one, yeah. The seats are tucked down, but they're 6 seats.
Yeah. Yeah, lovely. So this is a sort of EV9, Ioniq 9 kind of competitor. Yeah. I've got to say, out of all the cars here, It's the Firefly is the one that I like the most, just because I like small cars far more than I like big things like this.
Yeah, no. In China, these big vehicles are so popular, but if you look at a city like Amsterdam, the Firefly is what makes sense here.
Yeah, exactly. Lovely design though. I do like that. It's so odd not hearing a truck, isn't it? You just hear the boom boom when it goes over the road.
Exactly.
Oh god, that's how it should be. See?
Totally.
It's like utopia here, really. That's NIO then.
Thank you very much for watching this video. Thank you very much to Felix for offering his insight, and I should come over to Amsterdam more often, I think, and do more videos. I don't know whether you probably didn't see it, but last time we came to Amsterdam, Felix and I met up, and I did say afterwards I should have just been filming that, because we had a really good long conversation about IoT and all the different charging networks and all the rest of it. Anyway, maybe we'll make it a regular thing. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this. Press subscribe, bell icon, all the rest of it, and bye for now. Ciao.